Yo, 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 peace and blessings. Peace and blessings, everybody. My name is Gerald Hassan. I'm just trying to allow people to come on in for a secco, you know? And then we're going to push forward with whoever come in. And then the rest of y'all just got to catch in and catch up later. So, again, my name is Gerald Hassan of Enlightening Minds Enterprise, also known as Mr. Shift Your Perspective. And my ultimate aim and objective with Enlightening Minds Enterprise is to help improve our social health by way of improving our personal health. Because we all have been affected by different degrees and levels of trauma throughout our lives, and predominantly in our childhood, that still holds or plays a very hindering role in our lives today. Whether we be 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. A lot of us have the social ills and issues that we have as a result of these traumas. So, I appreciate you for coming in, and son, I'm trying to give maybe a few others some time before I really get off into this right here, because what I wanted to talk about today was a topic on basically changing one life. When one is ready to really change one life from what I like to call getting caught in the maze. When I say caught in the maze, I'm referencing caught like in the maze of just thinking a certain type of way, responding to life a certain type of way, and then in turn producing results that one doesn't really want to deal with. Results like incarceration and bad health and bad relationships and just all types of results that we don't want. Some people can't hold a job. Some people can't get a job. Some people it go on and on. It go on and on. And one thing we have to understand is that all of what life is to me is people. Life is people. Everything that you might can think of about life has something to do with people. And true enough, yeah, life involves having things, indeed. Life involves having things, indeed. I agree. But yet and still, no matter what you have, you can own millions of dollars. You can have Bentleys, Rolls Royce. You can own a whole island with a resort on it. But guess what? If you was the only person to experience this, and you had no one to experience it with, you had no one to be a witness to what you had, it wouldn't mean nothing to you. It wouldn't have the same kind of value. It wouldn't mean nothing. Other people are what makes having valuable things have any kind of meaning. So for me, life is people. And so whenever I tend to use that term life, whenever you hear me use that, understand I'm talking about our interaction with each other. So again, this is what I wanted to talk about tonight, and I really want to try to keep it as brief as possible, but I have about 9 points I wanted to touch on in our pursuit, and particularly to those of us who lived in the street life, those of us who done been to prison a number of times, those of us who grew up in the hood, and just seem to have all this drama going on, have all this, if you know a lot of haters, hey man, I'm talking to you. If you have a lot to complain about, I'm talking to you. We can complain all day long because it's easy to find something to complain about. But if you are one who always complaining and venting and having just all this just drama going on, just all these bad relationships, you got all these bad things to say about the people that you meet in life. You have road rage. You can't hear me? She said she can't hear. Anybody who can't hear, if you can hear me, push one. If you can hear me, push one. I mean, I don't know why nobody can't hear me, but if you can hear me, push one. Shit. She said she can't hear me. Oh, so you can hear me now. I thought you said you couldn't hear me. Oh, I thought you said I can't hear. I thought you said you couldn't hear me. So you said, let me see if it's my phone. Yeah, it have to be your phone. 'Cause if you say you can hear me now, I haven't done that. So, anyway, what I want to get into, I want to talk a little bit about my life, because sometimes people be like, how you gonna tell me about change? How you gonna tell me about being better, living better? I don't see, you where I want to be, or you doing better. If a person don't have millions and living a flamboyant lifestyle, sometimes we have a tendency to not see that as an example of what we want to be like, and that person can teach us certain things about particular things. So I like to start off with a little bit about my life, because again, what I'm talking about is coming out of a hellish state of living, a hellish mindset, a cycle of thinking that's producing certain results that we don't want in life. You know what I'm saying? That you just tired of. I mean, of course we're going to make mistakes. That's not what I'm talking about. We're going to make mistakes, but I'm talking about repetitiously. You continue to make the same mistakes over and over. You started running into the same type of people over and over. You just got bad relation after bad relationship. You got just so much stuff going on to complain about. Then that's what I'm talking about. So I want to start off by saying that for myself, man, I grew up mom on drugs, dad on drugs. Me and my brother and sister, we got split up at a very young age. There are some parts in our upbringing. I don't know where my sister was. I think she was probably with my mother's older brother, my uncle, and my brother. I'm honest, I think he was in the country. I don't know. I was the only one that was kind of with my mother around this time, even though my mother was staying from one place to another, from one place to another, one place. So she just kind of dragging me along with her at one point. There was a period in time where I think I stayed with a number of different people. Some people was family, some people wasn't family. I just kind of was hopping around myself, just living with people. And believe it or not, some people I was living with, it wasn't, my mother didn't even, it's not like my mother sent me there or put me there. It just, I ended up living there. You know what I'm saying? With this one family I was living with, she had a son, she had a daughter. The daughter and my sister were friends at one point. Then my sister, like I said, I can't remember where my sister ended up leaving, around the 6th, 7th grade. But I was around the 7th grade at the time. And she had a brother. He was about 3 years older than me. He was already in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Out there hustling and selling dope and stuff. And so I was kind of hanging with him at the time. And this is where, even though I was around everything and I was doing all kind of little things in my life, in the streets and so on. Even though, I mean, let me take that back. Not in the streets, but even though I was exposed to the streets. Because my father used to take me out, show me out different kind of little things in the streets, try to teach me how to sell weed, this, that, and other. I mean, just little things my father used to do, because he was a street dude, and he was a street dude. He was on drugs, he was on alcohol, but he was still like a street dude. He was still kind of like had a grip of himself at the time, and so he used to take me just onto all of the spots he used to hustle at, I guess, right? That was his ideal of preparing me for the streets, I guess, right? And so he was mainly living though in the country. And so this was like in Lufkin, Texas, where this made all this kind of little stuff used to happen. I used to go see my dad every summer up to about the 7th grade. And so I used to go stay with him every summer up to about the 7th grade. And so anyway, when I was staying with this family, for those of you who just kind of coming in, that was the I'm kind of like just giving trying to give a short history of my upbringing, so that I can kind of go into these little points about life changing decisions, to make, and that I made, and I'm saying on a conscious level, right? But on a mental level, I mean. And so anyway, so with this one family I ended up staying with around the 7th grade, I had the son. Me and him just kind of like hang out a little bit. With him, I learned so much street stuff, really, and not just on. it was like an inception into the streets, from fighting and everything else. Cause his whole way of dealing with me was to punch on me and this, that, and other. And he take me on the block with him. And I remember this dude named Lil Joe ended up fronting me a 50 pack, which was like $10, $20 stones, crack stones. And he was gonna pay me. It's 10. I'll take that back. Anyway, it's 100. I can't remember how many stones. It was like $100 worth, $100 worth of crack. And I sell a crack because I don't put no money up. So he front me this here. He fronted me like $100 worth of crack, and in front me, of course, I don't pay money for it. He just giving me on this what they call co-assignment. So co-consignment, I think is the right terminology. Anyway, he gave that to me, and that's how I started selling dope. But anyway, I only out of every $100, I was only making $25. So I'm out here selling. I make 25, he makes 75. You know what I'm saying? So this went on for maybe a few months, and then I end up with the same guy who I'm talking about was living with the family. I called him my cousin, so he was like a cousin to me. Anyway, I ended up going to jail with him. Well, I went to jail by myself, but I was with him, and I dropped him off in a stolen car that he had stole. And this is my first time ever driving, really driving, almost period. But then I'm driving a stolen car. So I didn't really know how to drive good. I mean, I'm in a stolen car. Law pulled me over. I tried to outrun the police. Ended up wrecking the car. Well, I almost wrecked the car. And I ended up pulling in people's yard, jumped out, took off running, jumped in somebody's backyard. Police found me, took me to jail. So I went to juvenile. Went to juvenile for auto theft. Now, just try to sum things up a little faster, not draw this whole story out. I ended up going to juvenile 2 other times after that. Not with them, but just different situations where I went. The second time I went for suspicion of aggravated robbery. I think I was around 15. And then the next time I went for burglary of a habitation at I was 15. So all these 3 things happened when I was around 14, 15 years old. So I got put on probation the first time and the last time. So then you say it's freezing up there? It's freezing up where? Where you at? You not in Houston no more? So anyway, I had the last time I went to jail for I went, that's what I'm saying, juvenile. Right? Last time I went to juvenile at around 15, I went for suspicion of aggravated robbery. And hold on, was it that? No, I went for burglary, and they put me on a year probation, but they wouldn't release me to my mother. So what they ended up doing, I went staying with my uncle who had my sister, my little sister. And so I went and stayed with my uncle. He was living in around South Park area, but a little farther out. But he was staying kind of like South Park area. And in a way, that thing turned into like I was around 15 going on 16, something like that. I did like a year and a half. Well, I did a half semester. I completed the 9th grade at Dobie High School. Then I did honestly like a few weeks at Sterling High School, and I got kicked out. And then I ended up just not going back. He told me, since you got yourself kicked out, then you're going to get yourself checked in somewhere. And I ended up just not going back. So ended up in the street. He co-signed me an apartment. Again, I'm just kind of cutting past some stuff so I can just kind of fill you in. But he ended up co-signing for me an apartment. I'm working like, the fast food job, and I'm selling dope. So that's how I'm paying my rent. But really, that was hard to do. End up just here and there, a bunch of different misdemeanor cases. End up really just involving in getting a street name, and that's why they calling me shooter and stuff like that. And so I end up, at the end of the day, I end up with 13 felonies. I had been to prison 3 times. I've served over 18 years in prison, in adult prison, not counting like county and juvenile time. But I served over 18 years in prisons. I served 14 years flat the last time, and before those times, in between those times I was serving, I had got out 2 times, went back in the 8 month period. Every time when I got out in '94, I went back in 8 months. I got out again in '97, went back in 8 months, and it was always for hustling. Now, every time I thought I had figured it out, thought I stopped doing something while I'm still doing other things, and I go back. So every time it hurt more because in my mind I'm trying to stay out and I'm thinking I figured it out to stay out, but I'm still in the game and I go back. During the times I was out, like I'm starting around '92. I was already smoking weed somewhere before, like some years. I drinking a little bit, but mainly smoking weed. I would say probably, I can't remember when I started, but I know like around '92 I was already smoking weed, and but in '92 specifically I started smoking Fry. I don't know if some of you all know the name, but Fry, Crazy Stick, Whack, Wet, Embalming Fluid, Sherm. It's different names for it. Different areas call it different stuff. But from in '92, I started smoking Fry. I started smoking Fry around '92, and that carried all the way out into '97. And actually, really, I take that back. It carried out until I got locked up in January of '98. I caught the case in '97, but I ended up getting locked up in '98 because I was on the run for a while. So it carried out until I got locked up in '98. But while I was in there, I had also smoked Fry again a few times because on the unit that I was on, it was there. So I had smoked Fry for I guess I would say a good 7 years. I had also done powder cocaine. So during the same time I was doing Fry, I got introduced to Fry. About a year later, when I come home, a year and a half later, I got introduced to powder cocaine. So I started smoking cocaine as well as doing smoking Fry. And so I would do these two things together, because one was an upper, one was a downer. The Fry was an upper. The Fry was a downer. The cocaine was an upper. And so that was that, and I was always a solo cat. So for me, that high was one of the things that used to be able to really allow me to really be comfortable in my solitude. And so I'm in the streets, man. I'm talking about when it comes to street life. And I want to say, again, I really want you to understand, because a lot of people who know me now can't see Shooter then. People call me Shooter in a sense now, but Shooter don't really exist no more. Not in the essence that he was. So the Shooter then, it's probably very little I hadn't done, in regards to street hustle. I jacked, I robbed, I kicked in doors, pulled people out their cars, sold dope, sold weed, counterfeit money. What else? Shit. I guess that's kind of like roughly it for the most part. One thing I had never got into was scamming and stuff like that. That's like some new, in my eyes, it's new wave hustle for black people. White people been doing it, of course. Females probably had been doing it, but now there's a lot of guys doing scamming and stuff like that. But that had never been my hustle. Anyway, my stuff was more physical, hands-on type hustle back then. But yeah, I had done it all. I done shot people. I done done a lot of stuff. So I say all that to say, because I want you to really understand the mindset that I come from. You talking about a mindset that was my life. Because this is at one point, this is all I had knew, and it was all I knew to the point that when you put me in a positive environment, if you put me in a productive, loving environment, I felt out of place there. I felt that environment wasn't for me. I wouldn't be disruptive or this, that, and other, but I would leave that environment. I've met females, even when I was younger back then, who I would feel so much life coming from them that I just stopped talking to them. And I would do it to save her, though. This was one thing I was conscious of. I would do it because I knew that my life wasn't in coincidence with hers, that I would literally destroy her. I have way too much going on in my life. and it was all destructive and disruptive. So I come from that mindset to when I got locked up in January 30th of 98. I went through my little periods and then I went to trial and they gave me 40 years in trial. They offered me 30 and I refused to take the 30. And again, and I went for gun possession. I went for two gun possessions. I went for two gun possessions and drug possession. And so they offered me 40. They offered me 30 years for one gun, and they hadn't even dealt with the second gun. But and I can't remember what they offered me for the drug. But they ended with the 30 is all I remember, and I kept refusing the 30. So my mind was like, nah, you got to give me that. I just signed for time twice. I'm not finna sign for time again. You got to give me that. So we ended up going to trial. They gave me 40 years in trial, and off I go. But one thing I want to say, with all of my trials and tribulations with the courts and the systems and all that, I was one. I never called my family. I never called like my brother or my sisters or they was young anyway. But my mothers and uncles and grandfathers. My grandfather probably was the only stable individual in my world that I could think of. So I never would bother people with my burdens because I felt that they didn't have it anyway. So I was never one to burden people with my life. So I wanted to try all my jail situations. I pretty much done by myself except the last situation. But the last situation, my sister was played a very pivotal role in my, I would say in my rebirth. Because she was there, walking with me the whole time, supporting me, holding me up. Um, um, I mean, she kept, my sons, them coming down there. She brought them down there. I mean, my sister played a very key role, and I feel to this day have not been able to pay my sister back in the way I desire to. There's just things I have in my mind I would love to be able to do for my sister, but God willing, the time will come when I definitely will be able to do what I want to do. I mean, I do things for myself. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying things I want to do, that it's gonna take some time to do what I really want to do to show her how much I really appreciate her. But anyway, yeah, man. So when I got locked up, I want you to also understand that my brother had made a statement to me on the phone one day. He said, "Man, look, um, I had made a statement about me being tired of being locked up." He started laughing. I'm like, "What you laughing about?" And he was like, "Man, I know you tight." And I'm finna speed up right now because I know it's taking me too long to kind of get to what I really want to talk to y'all about this lesson here. But anyway, he was like, "Man, I know you probably tired of being locked up. I know you tired of being locked up. But until you get tired of the lifestyle you've been living, then you might as well that you're gonna have to. That's gonna come with it, Gerald. And so I'm like, I had got quiet because it resonated with me. And that's one thing, and for me to still tell you right now today, and here that was, I don't know what, shit, damn near 20 years ago. It really meant something, and I believe that's what jarred me, I think, to really start looking. And one of the things that I had said in my mind when I was in the county, I'm like, drugs kill your brain cells, drugs kill your brain cells. And at this particular time, I could barely talk really good. I had already, when I was a kid, I had a bad stuttering issue, and so I couldn't really. In the fry and the cocaine, I think had, as well as the stress in my life at that time, had just brought all that back into play. I had become suicidal at that point in time. I had thought about shooting out with the police a number of times. It's so much I would love to be able to fill y'all in on so that you can really fully understand, but it's just that's gonna come later, and that's something I plan to put in a book or something one day. But yeah, so all of that happened, and I finally I got my time and I started doing my time. So one thing I'm like, okay, man, I want to rebuild my brain. I want to try to, I feel like God didn't put all this in my head for no reason, all these cells, all these brain cells in there just to be there. And they said we only use the 5% of our brain cells. I want to tap into the rest of some of these other brain cells, right? And so I just started reading out loud to myself, reading everything that I could get my hands on. And I would work on the way I speak and pronunciate the words, and I would stop and look up words in the dictionary and write the definition next to the words and put an underline under there and write stuff on the side of the page, this, that, that, and other. And this is how I had began to get myself together throughout that journey. And I'm gonna tell you, it was a tough journey, man. And it's honestly, it's still a tough journey. I still have my trying times, but I think that's just a part of life. That's one thing I've realized. I know that's just a part of living. No matter how much money you get, no matter where you get in life, you're gonna have those moments where it's just tough. You just because there's always going to be challenges in your life, whether it be with your health, whether it be in relationships, whether it be with somebody you love's health. It's going to be challenges that you're going to have to deal with that's going to rock your world and your life at times. And now I want to get into this lesson on changing your life when you really want better. And I wanted to start out with the introduction so you can kind of again have a vision of where I come from to where I'm at, because it's really hard for you to see it, me then with me now. I know it is, because I've been asked what I'm even doing in prison that I wasn't even supposed to be in there. Did I take somebody else's case? Stuff like that, you know? So, first thing I want to say with the first of the 9, you have to get sick and tired, man. You have to be tired of just doing the same things that are producing the kind of results that you're getting in life. And again, I'm talking to dudes and women who have been in the system, as well as individuals who live in the hood and all of the issues of the hood, as well as just people, period. Because what I'm telling you, you can extract what I'm telling them to apply in different areas of your life, because you also, whether it be in relationships, work, or whatever else, these things happen in different, it just look different. You know what I'm saying? But the principle applies to all of that. So I'm saying you have to be tired of the decisions that you are making that are producing results in your life that you are tired of getting. You have to be tired. So now number 2, number 1 again, you have to be tired. And I'm saying, when I'm saying tired, I'm saying not just I'm tired and I want different, but I'm saying you have to be so tired to where it started to affect your mental well-being, like when you just really about to give up. You almost about tired of living in life. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you need to wait to that point. I'm saying you need to be paying attention to the way you feel it. And when you really get tired of the results you live in, notice that it's certain environments you continue to put yourself in that is producing those results. Like my brother told me, you can't get tired of the results until you get tired of the environment. So you have to start, when you get so tired of the different results that are coming from your decision, start looking at your surroundings. Start looking at where you live, the way your house is set up, the people that surround you. Start looking at all of that, because all of that play a part in it. Number 2, you have to start wanting better. When you get sick and tired, you're going to want better. But see, a lot of us, we want better, but at the same time, we okay with the results that we get. So as long as you're happy with the results that you're getting in life, you're not going to really be forced to do nothing else. See, one thing about discomfort forces you to do something different. When you're uncomfortable, you start looking for comfort, right? So whenever any situation causes you to be unsettled, uncomfortable, stressed out, you then start looking for peace of mind, settlement. You start looking for comfort. So therefore, whether you got to create it or whether you got to go out and find it, but you got to move. So with number 2, you have to want better. You have to want it, man. You have to start, you have to want, again, as long as you comfortable with getting what you've been getting, you're going to continue to get it. So you have to want better. Number 3, you then have to make up your mind to go and get it. Like when I said that, when my brother told me that about the whole, you got to get tired of going through what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? You got to get tired of that. And then when you get tired of it, see, for me, when I started really reevaluate that. I used to tell people them stories about when I was locked up. I used to tell people them stories about what was going on in the streets, is that another. At some points, when you just tell a story, you kind of missed it. But it reached the point to where if I told the stories, people, it reached the point where I was saying, well, it's kind of bittersweet. It's a bittersweet memory. You know, it's like you can see the joy in it, even though the pain was there. And now it reaches the point to where there's nothing sweet about it. There's nothing sweet about it. You know, it's just something I accept as a part of the past because I know it has a lot to do with who I am today. But I don't, it's hard. You know, it's nothing I want to repeat. None of it I want to repeat, period. So you have to make up your mind to get that battle that you want. And see, when I started saying that I wanted to, I said I want to get my speech right. You know, I want to tap into that bigger percentage of my brain. You know, when I started reading out loud, that's me saying I done made up my mind to get what I said I wanted. You feel what I'm saying? And so, number 4, you gotta be committed. You gotta be committed. When you go through that 1, 2, and 3, number 4, you gotta be committed. And here I'm gonna tell you something what's gonna make you committed and what's not. When you know, see, one thing gonna make you committed and stay consistent is your reason why you doing what you're doing. Your reason have to be big enough, great enough, and valuable enough to you. See, for me, my reason for getting myself together there because not only did I want to go home, eventually, because that's a part of my story I left out. I wasn't ready. When I came up for parole and everybody was saying, say, man, I hope you make it home, man. I hope you make it on your parole. I say, bro, I'm not even ready to go. And they were like, what? Who locked up said they ain't ready to go home? You know? I say, I'm not ready to go. Why? Because I knew I hadn't changed. And I wanted to go home and stay home. My last trip damn near killed me out in the world. So I didn't want to go home unless my mind was different. So I knew I wanted to respond to life differently. So my reason was, when I get home, I want to stay home. I want to stay home. I want to be productive. I want a life way different than what I had been living all my life. I wanted to be happy. I had started reading so many different little books and other different stories that people were living like of a life that I had never lived. And so for me, that had become a part of my reason. I want to live that. I want to go places. I want to travel places. I want a family. I want a wife one day. I want my own big house. Just all kinds of things. I want to be around good people. All that became my reason. And a part of my reason that helps me stay home right now is the fact that I know I got people counting on me. See, before all the other time, it was just about me. I didn't think about people like that. I'm trying to survive. But today, it's all about, it's like, come on, man, I got sons that I believe, I don't know for a fact, I never had, but I strongly believe that they be very disappointed and hurt if I went back to prison behind anything that wasn't for a righteous cause. You feel what I'm saying? If it wasn't something honorable, me defending my family, me defending me maybe, but I say even for myself, it got to be bigger than that, But so your reason, number 4, your reason, man, stay committed. The only thing gonna keep you committed is that your reason got to be big enough. Number 5, realize challenges is a part of living. A lot of times we say, man, I had a bad day today. Man, it was a long day. I don't really know what people really, I can't tell you what you mean when you say it was a long day. I try not to say something that's not clear to my subconscious, because everything that you speak out is like a self program into your subconscious. So we have a tendency to say, "Man, I had a bad day. Man, it wasn't good day. It was a long day." To me, you still implying that it was a bad day. But I remember I heard Brother Les Brown say, "Don't say you had a bad day. Say you had a challenging day. A very character building day." Because one thing about challenges is that it builds character. One thing about dealing with challenges is that it builds character. It gives you substance. It's the part. It's like this is how I look at. This is how I look at. This is how I look. Like again, let's go back to the prison. This is how I look at that situation. Is that it carries a lot of pressure. Being in a situation where you want to blow, but you don't. Because you know that when you blow, yeah, you might feel better for a minute, because you let them know they got you fucked up, right? But it's going to make the situation worse. The results isn't what you wanted. Not in totality. See, this is one thing I learned about choices and actions, is that if it isn't conducive towards the overall objective, then it's not a logical decision. So, understanding that the pressure, like what I went through, like in that environment, was to me similar like the pressure of a rock, or like they say, and I'm just gonna say a rock. How they say diamonds come from rocks built under pressure, under heat and pressure. Man, that's saying something. That's saying something. You see, Allah shows us through creation the different values with different experiences in life. Just with studying creation, He can help us understand so much about what we go through in life. It ain't what we think it is. The perspective, the way we're seeing it, we might need to shift that a little bit. We might need to broaden that some. Because it's not just like that. Understanding that challenges is a part of life. See, one thing I've realized is that if you ain't living, then you don't have no stress. You don't have nothing to worry about. You don't have no issues. You don't have no challenges, right? Guess what? You ain't growing. You ain't evolving. It's done. It's a wrap, right? But with this life and anything that is living, it can be plants, animals, human beings, anything that is living is challenged with life. It's challenged with the desire or the objective to stay alive. But not just to stay alive, but to stay at peace and harmony and balance and alive. That's the thing. See, it's one thing to just be alive, just survive, but it's a whole nother thing to be balanced, to be happy, to be at peace, and to live. So realizing though that challenges is a part of it, we ain't talking about hard times, it's bad, it's difficult. I'm saying challenges, things that are difficult in life, that come with living. When it come, know that it's life telling you it's time for you to grow. It's time for you to expand some. Because that's all challenges do. It expands you. It strengthens you. It gives you substance. It chisels you some. It refines you. Whatever we want to use to know that you are getting better whenever you walk through, not around, not over, but when you walk through challenges. Number 6, learn to stay true to you. Self-correction. Learn to stay true to you, because as you grow and you get in these good places of knowledge and understanding, you know, you can tend to think, or better yet, not think, but you tend to get caught up in the perspective that you are better than everybody else, that you don't have flaws that other people have, that other people are less than you, worse than you know, more intolerable than you. You know, we you know, the better we get with certain things. Just think about religious people. Religious people sometimes are worse at this. We tend to think that people like people. Think how many times you done said, or you done heard someone say that I might, I might, I know I ain't perfect, but I don't do that. I don't have that problem. I wouldn't do no stuff like that. You see, I'm gonna tell you something. Whenever we do that, what you are doing then is minimizing your flaws and imperfections. While your flaws and imperfections may be greater and bigger than that person's. You know, I remember I was looking at this movie, that movie with Will Smith and all those robots. I don't know if you can, I can't remember, something iBot or some stuff like that. And he was checking to find out what happened to that professor, because the professor was said to have killed himself, right? And Will was like, nah, this man was too smart and intelligent to commit suicide. And that dude told him, well, you know, geniuses carry the most persuasive demons. I'm gonna tell you why that resonated so much with me. It's taught that Satan, and I ain't gonna go deep because I want to get to with 6, 7. I got 3 more points. I ain't gonna go deep, but check this out. It's taught that Satan is a very intelligent, wise, and crafty being. That the wiser you are, the more wiser he has to deal with you. The craftier he has to deal with you. So he don't hit you with a boulder. You see that coming. You might get out the way of the boulder, right? You see that. You too crazy. I mean, you too wise to stand there and let a boulder just land in your chest or your lap. You know what I'm saying? No. Satan hit you with something so subtle that you don't see it like you see a boulder coming. See, the more wiser you are, the more craftier he gets and the more subtle the challenges become. It's like he hits you with things that you don't really pay attention to, that you do. I'm gonna give you an example. This is an example that I believe is very real. Most people, what most people don't like about people, they do. The very characteristics that you dislike sometimes about the people that are in your circle, especially some of your friends, maybe even your kids, especially your mate. But honestly, most of the time you meet somebody and they do certain things that bother you, I promise you, if you study yourself and be self-conscious of the things you do and be truthful to you, be real with yourself, hold yourself accountable, I promise you, you will realize that you do the exact same thing that you complain about others do. Maybe not in totality and everything. I'm not saying everything. I'm not saying everything that we complain about, we do. But I'm saying that there are a number of things, a lot of times, that we do that we don't like others doing. I done called a lot of people on it before. Some of them accept it, some of them don't, you know. But in changing, evolving, getting in a better place, staying in a place, staying committed to that growth, persistency, it takes that. It takes you to be honest with you. If you don't be honest with nobody else, you have to be honest with you. In your analyzation, examination, and correction of yourself, you have to be honest. Because with realizing the shit that you do, you can say, you know what, I need to stop doing that shit, man. I do that same shit. While at the same time, it also makes you more understanding with others and more patient with others. Because believe it or not, the way we deal with life, and remember in the beginning, I said life is people. The way we deal with people, life, the way we respond to it, has everything to do with who we are. It's like a reflection of where we presently stand right now in life. It really shows how much you understand. It shows how much you don't understand. At the end of the day, everybody really wants to be happy. We all just have been fucked up in a lot of ways, in a lot of different ways. So therefore, the choices that we are making in our pursuit to be happy is just a lot of bad choices. And we are hurting and stumping on each other and stepping on each other's toes and bumping each other, this, that, and other, because we in all of that hurt and trauma and ill logic and being cultivated by all that unhealthy all those unhealthy forms of love and unhealthy social programming. All of that has made us very selfish and make it very difficult to think about others, to be concerned about with others, to be truthful with self, to hold oneself accountable. You know, have you ever been arguing, this is the last point on number 6, have you ever been arguing with somebody about something that you thought you were right about, and I'm talking you're in a strong argument about it, and don't let it be an audience. You're in a strong argument, and then you realize in the argument, you know what? Damn sure did. You say this to yourself. You realize it just hit you like a brick upside the head. But you know what? God, ain't sure right. I did do this shit. I'm gonna tell you something. It's hard to say, you know what? You right. I was wrong. All that clowning you done in front of everybody. Just thought you was just wrong, right? You damn near probably got you probably insulted the person you was debating and arguing with because you felt like they was wrong. But now you got to eat it. I'm going to tell you, it takes a lot of maturity and humility to do that. And when you start doing that, you'll know you're headed to the right place with self-correction, holding yourself accountable. Number 7. With all of that growth, with all that knowledge and understanding and start seeing things, you know, it can take you. In your growth, you have to find a foundation. You have to stand on something. That foundation, what I'm talking about, has to be your source of authority. That which governs you. That which you use as your authority behind your belief, stuff you say and understand. I mean, believe what you want to believe, but I'm saying, as long as it holds you accountable, you have to have something to stand on, because it's like if you don't have no foundation, you're just going to kind of sway from one thing to the next. And it's hard to be consistent it's hard to be consistent and stay on path when you kind of everywhere. You know, you may be constantly evolving and growing, but it's hard to kind of get to your destination when you don't have a foundation that's kind of keeping you grounded. because your foundation is somewhat like changing, you know. To admit to being wrong. Okay, yeah, for sure. But it's kind of hard to get to where you're trying to go to a destination when you're constantly changing routes. I mean, you eventually get there, but it's gonna take you way longer than it should have, as a result of you just it's like just think about it. You go into the Galleria, and I think every city got a Galleria. So you go into the Galleria, but instead of you just taking this one route to the Galleria, you go this way, you go this way, you go this way, you turn this way, you turn it. You take all these different routes just to get to the Galleria when you could have just, I know everybody ain't from Houston, but just take this one route to get there. Hey, what's good? What's good, Bernard? I'm just going over some things, man, about changing your life when you really want better. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, this is number 8, man. I got 2 more points, and I'll be done. Number 8 is, know that you don't know that you. What do I say? Know that you know. Oh, know that you know nothing. That was the point. So again, with all this growth, with all this understanding, knowledge you started acquiring, with all this, because really knowing yourself is the real striving. But with all of that you acquire, sometimes we have a tendency of telling everybody you wrong. You don't know nothing. You wrong. I'm telling you, you ain't. Man, look. The book say I got it right here. I got it. Look. All you gotta do is go ahead and read this here, and I'm gonna tell you what it say. I'm gonna tell you something. That's your source of authority. Webster Dictionary, the Holy Quran, or the Bible, or the Injil, or the Torah, or the Black Law Book, or whatever you use, your life, whatever you use in a debate, that's your source of authority. I'm gonna tell you something. The only time you really can correct somebody using a source of authority is if you and that person both stand on that same source of authority. Y'all both have agreed that you're using this source of authority in whatever context y'all are talking about. If we talk about definitions and we both say that Webster is a source of authority, then I can correct you about what the meaning of a word is. Do you believe in Webster? Do you go to the dictionary to define words? Okay, if you do, let me show you what that word really means. That word don't mean what you said it means. You know what I'm saying? But if a dude tell you, nah, I don't use Webster. I use Nigga Dictionary Urban Book. That's what I use. And the Nigga Dictionary Urban Book, turn up means whatever. You feel me? Turn up not even in Webster. So wherever you said it mean over there, I gotta accept it because I don't have no authority on that, right? I mean, just knowing that you don't know nothing, man. You gotta just reach a point to where, I'm gonna relate this last story with just one on number 8. I'm gonna relate this story. In the Holy Quran, it talks about. I see you, Renee. In the Quran, it talks about a story, right, where there was a Moses, not the Moses of the children of Israel, but there was a Moses, right? There was a Moses who was waiting on this wise person that God was going to send to teach Moses, right? And so Moses was like, man, can I follow you? You the mentor, you the teacher I've been looking for to travel with all this time, this, that, and other. And the wise man told Moses, you're not going to be able to be patient with me, so no, you can't follow me. Moses begged, I'm going to be patient, I promise you. I won't ask you nothing. I just want to follow you and learn from you. So the wise man said, under this condition, that you don't ask me about nothing until we get to the end of the destination. Moses agreed. All right, so 3 different things happened. Just kind of cut the story short. 3 different things happened on the journey, and Moses blew up about. Oh man, how you do that? Man, why you do that? So he done this 3 times. Both 2 times, the wise man admonished him and say, I told you you wasn't gonna be patient. Moses, oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I won't say nothing else. The 3rd time, the wise man told him, See, I told you wasn't going to be patient, but at this point is where we depart. But before we depart, I'll explain the three things that you was confused about. And so he broke them all down to him and gave him some information about those three situations that he had no knowledge of and couldn't have had any knowledge of. It was no way for him to retrieve that knowledge from anywhere else but from that man or God came and just sent somebody to give it to him, right? So here's the commentary on that story. I told you, this is in the Holy Quran. So, but here's the commentary about this story. Mr. Farrakhan explained like this here to us. He say that sometimes when God, well, this is like, because this man was sent from God with knowledge and an obligation and a task that the world wasn't even was unknown to the world. So with that being said, he's like, you have to be humble with your information and your knowledge, because sometimes the information that comes to you, you don't have the knowledge or the information to measure that information or knowledge by. And it can be something as simple as, if I don't know everything that a doctor knows. A doctor done went to all this school, he done had all this practice every day, it's all he do. You know what I'm saying? But I come in there and tell him, because I done read one book or one post or whatever. No, that ain't right. I mean, and I'm not saying you can't, I'm just trying to give you an example. A lot of times it's hard to, or it wouldn't even be intelligent from my position, to debate all the time or debate. Don't y'all break this thing apart, because I'm just trying to give you a rough example. This might not even be the best example, but it's hard to tell someone something or measure the information that someone gives you by. I mean, someone gives you with the information that you have, because the information that you have might not just be enough. You don't have enough to say if it's right or wrong or incorrect, this, that, and other. And so the best way I can say is this here. Typically, like when someone tell me something or give me something, I might ask them where you get it from, how you know, and they tell me where they get it from, how they know. Either I'm gonna look it up or I'm not. But one thing I won't do is say, well, no, that's not true. That's not right. That's not correct. Unless I do have the information to refute it with. If I don't have the information to refute it with, then I'm going to be like, well, nah, I mean, I don't know. I hear you. I can't. It's hard for me to accept it as my truth. I can't say it's true or not, because I don't have enough information to say it's true or not. But a lot of us are quick to say, hell no, hell no. A lot of us quick to say hell no, and we just because of the way we feel. A lot of us are emotional debaters, communicators. We don't even have to have facts. We've heard something so much to where we think we know something. And sometimes we ain't even heard it a lot. We might have heard it enough to think we've heard it a lot to believe that everybody, one of the arguments we use, everybody know that. How you gonna say everybody know that? Have you talked to, I don't even know how many billions of people in the world. But when you say everybody, what do you mean? Or you mean everybody in the world? Or do you mean everybody in your house? Do you mean everybody on your block? Help me understand. So now I can ask you, how you know? You talk to everybody? You know what I'm saying? If you mean everybody, and I wouldn't give a damn if everybody do agree with you. That don't mean that it's still true. There's a bunch of ignorant people in the world. A bunch of them. So that don't mean it. But anyway, again, know that you know nothing. Number 9, love yourself and others and be okay with your imperfections and your past. You have to know that you have to love yourself and you have to love others. How you love others is by knowing that you are no better than them. They are no better than you. You have hurt people like they've hurt people, whether it be intentionally, unintentionally. I mean, again, everybody's striving for happiness. Everybody been fucked up. Everybody been caught up in this whirlwind rat race of shit, and it gets animalistic, And be okay with your imperfections and your past. Your imperfections is your perfection. Your imperfections is your perfection, and your past has everything to do with where you are right now today. So you can appreciate all of the hardship, all of the challenges, and all of that because it has everything to do with who you are and where you're going. Be okay with that. Be okay with that. Make sense of your traumas. I'm adding this to this now. Make sense of your traumas. You have those traumas are going to hold you captive. Things that you know ail you, things that you know play some kind of part. Because when you start questioning yourself, why do I do this? Why I keep doing this shit all the time? Why I keep when you go back, that's like in my other number 1 or 2 or 3 somewhere but now. When you start questioning all that stuff about you, why I keep letting this thing happen, why I keep making these dumb decisions, you have to start digging into when you start asking why enough, it forces you to go deeper and deeper and deeper when you really, but when you start answering yourself like this, well, that's just who I am. That's just how I am. I done been through enough. I done been through a lot, and that's just how I am today. That's a vague answer. That's not even an answer. You have to get deep and try to really make sense of it because at some point when you can't answer it, you just have to say, well, I guess God wanted me to go through that, and I got to take from that the best of what I can take from that and just help others with it. You know, like if someone has been raped, then you got to take that experience and help other females whom, not to find themselves in a situation like that or how to keep from getting in a situation where they may get raped or, so on and so forth. But that you can't hold that. You have to teach people from what you now understand about that experience, how that happened. And really, in your teaching and helping others, you also heal yourself. You heal yourself. The more you talk about it, the more you understand about it, the more you uproot the seed of the trauma or the traumatic experience. So I say all that to say, those are the 9 steps to evolution, to freeing oneself of that maze of thinking a certain way and producing certain results that you don't want, and you keep producing them. I was trapped in that one time, and it almost killed me. So, I mean, literally. So anyway, man, I really appreciate y'all for joining me, from listening to me at whatever amount of time that you did. I know I've talked a minute, and I know long talks of this type isn't for everybody. And for those of us that it is, we just love these kind of conversations because they feed our soul. So this is what we do, And I appreciate you, Renee. I know you probably stayed in and rode the whole time with me. I don't know, a few others may come and go here and now, but hey, I appreciate y'all. And hey, man, stay tapped in. Peace and blessings to you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Let's see here.